So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Tory MP Laura Trott, who is, I think, in charge of the Treasury, Chief Secretary, absolutely embarrassing herself again and failing to not understand basic economics. Like this is pretty horrendous. I mean, she even manages to kind of confuse the host here and almost trick him into thinking his statistics weren't the right ones. Unreal.
What is puzzling me is how you can be even talking about tax cuts when a central pledge is getting debt down and debt is going up.
So the central pledge is one of our fiscal rules, which is that debt...
I'm really getting sick of the phrase fiscal rules, and I think the audience will as well. Honestly, it's doing my head in.
Needs to be falling over the 5-year fiscal forecast as a percentage of GDP, which it is.
No, it's higher in 5 years than now.
Not as a percentage of GDP.
Yeah, no, it's higher. It's going up. It's lower in the 5th year relative to the 4th year. So it goes down at the end of the projection, but in 5 years, I think it's higher at the end of the project. Yeah, 23.4, 89% of GDP. 28.9, it's 93% of GDP. Debt goes up. It falls at the end of 5 years a little bit. But that doesn't mean debt is coming down. That means debt is going up. It's higher. It's higher in 5 years than now.
It's falling as a percentage of GDP.
No, it's higher as a percentage of GDP.
This is why. Do you know? All right. The more I see the Tories do maths, right, the more I realise why Rishi Sunak says people should do maths until they're 18, because he probably talks to these people and they're like, man, I have no idea what you're talking about, and he probably like, man, maybe we should keep kids in school longer to do maths because they don't understand how percentages work. Genuinely, like maybe this is the reason why Sunak keeps pushing the maths thing. This is the only thing I can think of. Or maybe he watched that Priti Patel video where she couldn't read numbers in terms of words. So I don't know how she managed to fumble that. That's a classic.
No, I think.
Well, this is really basic. I'm looking at the latest OBR table. Public sector net debt ex Bank of England, 28.9, 92.8%, 23.4, 89%. So it's up in 5 years. Now, I'm amazed that you don't know that debt is rising, but you're the one who's planning. I'm looking at the percentage of GDP.
I kind of wish they brought it up on the screen so that people could see it.
This is. I think I need to have the figures. I've got different figures, which I just.
If I were him, I would have just passed the notes. I'd say, look, these are the numbers. This is where it's from. Like, here you go.
So I think we just need to.
Okay, let's just suppose if debt is higher on the OBR forecast in 5 years than now, you couldn't possibly be cutting taxes while your pledge is that debt should be falling.
The point is we have our fiscal rules, and within those we have an amount of headroom. So we will only do things that are fiscally responsible and sit within our fiscal rules.
It's a really, really big point, this, isn't it? And one of us has obviously got it wrong. I think I'm looking at the right table, and I think I'm looking at the right line. And it's possible that the figures will all change. But at the moment, it looks to me like debt is higher in 5 years than it is now. And you're still talking about tax cuts. And I'm just wondering how you do that if you're pledging debt falling is one of your key 5 pledges.
Percentage of GDP over the 5-year forecast. Yes,
so we would always.
She keeps rushing in with debt falling as a percentage of GDP as a forecast. She keeps rushing in with that, and it's like, he's obviously looking at the numbers. If he's got the right numbers in front of him, he's seeing that debt's going to go up as a percentage of our GDP, especially given the struggling growth that we are going to have and are predicted to have, right? So it kind of, I guess I can see why our debt as a percentage of GDP will go up. So her argument, it doesn't make sense, honestly. I'm a bit baffled. This feels like my conversation with Bowler Hatman a little bit.
GDP line, that's the only relevant one.
So I think that we've always said that we will only do things within our fiscal rules and where it is.
This is nonsense here. Politicians, they just change, what they'll do is they'll just change the fiscal rules because they desperately want this tax cut, because they want to say to people, look, the economy's on the bend, we've managed to get this tax cut done because, the economy's, growing again, and, the only reason taxes were so high is because of COVID and because of Vladimir Putin. That's what they want to argue. But they can't, because the problem is they've damaged the economy so badly that they're struggling to find the money for this tax cut because they don't want to base it. They don't want to base it in borrowing again because the markets will be like, nah, dog, that's not for us. And so the problem they've run into is where are they going to get the money from for this tax cut? And, the argument that Evan Davies is making here is, how are you going to cut taxes while also adhering to your fiscal rules? And this tells me that I think he's going to use this kind of these similar lines on Rachel Reeves over the Green pledges as well. I can see that happening if he gets a chance to interview her.
is affordable for us to do so. So yes, we want to cut taxes. We believe that drives growth, but we will only do it if it sits within our fiscal rules.
But then surely the fiscal rules are wrong then. If you believe cutting taxes are the way to grow the economy, but you can't do so because the fiscal rules, doesn't that mean your fiscal rules are economically illiterate at that point? Surely that's what that means then. If you believe that this is a surefire method to grow the economy, surely you do it and you change the fiscal rules. Yeah, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the audience here.
Laura Trott, interesting conversation. We should probably both go and look at the books, make sure we haven't made a mistake, but obviously...
100% she ain't looking at nothing. She wants to get out of here as soon as possible. She does not look the most comfortable in interviews.
Really interesting point about whether debt is going up or going down on your watch. Laura Trott, Chief Secretary to the Treasury.
I don't know. I feel like he's kind of left a bit of doubt with the audience. I think they should have pulled the figures up on the screen and said, like, okay, these are what the numbers say. Where are your numbers? That's what I would have done if I were him. But I guess it's a radio show, it's a bit more difficult to do that. But I think that's what he had to do there, or at least pass her the numbers and say, look, this is the line I'm looking at specifically. What do you say to this? But anyways, this is always an interesting one. Maybe Rishi Sunak is right for once in his life, and people should stay in school till they're 18 because she is struggling to read the numbers. Either that, or she's got some alternative facts. I can't remember who said that. It was one of Trump's goons, the alternative facts lady. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.